Guten Morgen, guten Tag, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to AMTC 2022. I'm Melinda Crane, and it is such a pleasure to accompany you once again as moderator. It's great to be back in Munich, and it is great to see both old faces and new participants here with us today. And, I know that all of us are a little bit tired of screens by now, but we are also so glad to greet our virtual audience. Thank you so much for joining us, all of those who are online. Now, I know that everybody had a really lively reception yesterday afternoon, so we do still have some guests getting their coffees and coming in, but we did want to start punctually because we have a great intensive program today. This is the 5th edition of what has become the premier platform for the additive manufacturing ecosystem. And this year, as you know, we meet at a particularly turbulent time, whereas we confront a confluence of crises ranging from the ongoing effects of the pandemic and supply chain disruptions to the economic impact of the conflict in Ukraine. And that, of course, includes pressure on energy and resource markets, an impending economic downturn, and inflation, all of which are impacting both business and investment strategies. And resilience, of course, has become the new buzzword for so many different industries. In times of crisis, it can be tempting to think that only isolation and autonomy can boost resilience. But the fact is, the opposite is true. It is open and diversified markets that can best ensure the critical supply of goods and materials. Not deglobalization, but smart globalization, and it's by learning from one another that we can thrive economically in the face of challenges like those that we face at the current moment. Which is why this year's AMTC is all about connection. Our title this year is Connecting Opportunities Driving the AM Ecosystem, because one message that has emerged again and again in this forum over the past 5 years is that the only way to accelerate the industrialization of additive manufacturing, I think it's safe to say that is the goal of everybody in this room, is a concerted effort to pool knowledge and ideas across sectors and across regions, which is why this year at AMTC 2022, we are shining a light on regional developments. We're going to be asking, how do AM drivers and challenges vary internationally across the regions? What can we learn from one another? Where can regional actors work together within their areas more effectively? And what can best be achieved at global level? AMTC itself is part of that collaborative process, bringing together a powerful international network that's dedicated to turning the vision into reality. And that network includes all those you see here on this crowded slide in back of me. It includes our organizers, the Technical University of Munich, the TUM, which is this year's host once again, along with Oerlikon and partners ranging from the RW2TH Aachen Technical University to the ETH Zurich, Fraunhofer, EDB Singapore, Siemens, Audi, Trumpf, and many, many more. Thanks to all of our 33 partners who are here with us today. We have an outstanding array of experts and speakers, ladies and gentlemen, to give us the inside story today on updates and priorities in the current economic climate and tell us about how additive manufacturing can help us meet those challenges that I outlined. They will take us to Asia Pacific, to Europe, and to the Americas to explore promising business cases. We'll pull together the main lessons learned with an overview on regional differences and similarities. And our final session will drill deeper onto the key topic of sustainability. If you are following us online, or if you're here with us live and you just want to take a deeper dive, we also will have breakout sessions here in the main hall during some of our pauses, in which you can identify megatrends with some of our key experts with us today, and we'll also have interviews that showcase key researches and their findings. So that's the blueprint for where we're heading. Now, before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping hints from me. First of all, safety instructions, pretty self-evident. Do look around yourself, please, and familiarize yourselves with the emergency exits. You'll see our signs up at the top of the room in green. Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi is AMTC 2022, password TUM 2022. And later on, we are going to use a digital tool to conduct audience polls and to take your questions, ladies and gentlemen. So please do log in now to our platform by using the QR codes that you see on the screen. And you can then enter your login details that you received at registration in order to go online. And I'm just going to give you a moment to do that because we want to make sure that everybody takes part in our polls later on. Just going to wait till those phones go down. See a few of our guests are still logging in. Great. So if you're having trouble, we can give you a hand during the break. I see a few heads being shaken. So do contact our organizers if you do have trouble getting onto the Wi-Fi. Let's get started. And we begin with greetings from our co-hosts and key AMTC partners.
Sehr geehrter Herr Professor Suess, sehr geehrter Herr Professor...
We seem to have a second moderator with us. We begin now with greetings from our hosts and key AMTC partners. And ladies and gentlemen, as you know, if you are an AMTC regular, our conference was launched right here in Munich, in Bavaria, with its cluster of academic excellence, with industry, and with political commitment. Bavaria has become an important hub within Germany and within the entire region, within Europe, for digitalization in general and for additive manufacturing in particular. Our first speaker has been a strong supporter of additives since its inception and of this event. She helped launch it at that time as Bavaria's State Minister for Economy, Energy and Technology. Now she is president of the Bavarian State Parliament. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us this morning in person, but she has sent us this video message. Let's hear from Ilse Aigner.
Sehr geehrter Herr Professor Suess, sehr geehrter Herr Professor Hoffmann, meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren. Technik heißt Fortschritt. Fortschritt bedeutet Zukunft. Und das, meine Damen und Herren, ist der Grund, warum Sie heute hier sind. Ich freue mich, dass die AMTC wieder in München ist. Bei uns sind Sie goldrichtig. Bayern setzt auf Zuversicht, Tatkraft, Innovationsfähigkeit. Wir wissen, wenn wir auch zukünftig in der Champions League mitspielen wollen, brauchen wir eine Top-Performance bei Zukunftstechnologien, und zwar mehr denn je. Der technologische Fortschritt birgt immense Chancen für die, die schnell sind, und existenzielle Risiken für die, die langsam sind. Die USA, China, sie haben die Zeichen der Zeit erkannt und klotzen mit Investitionen. Wir in Bayern tun das auch. Technologiepolitik war immer Standortpolitik, immer Teil unserer offensiven Innovationspolitik, Teil aktiver Wirtschaftspolitik in Bayern. Und Technologiepolitik wird zunehmend Geopolitik. Es droht ein kalter Krieg um Technologie. Deshalb gilt, wir dürfen die Schlüssel der Zukunft nicht aus der Hand geben. Wir müssen unsere technologische Souveränität bewahren, Schlüsseltechnologien meistern, sichere digitale Infrastrukturen schaffen und Zukunftstechnologien besetzen. Es geht nicht nur um unseren Wohlstand, sondern auch um unsere Sicherheit von morgen. Technologie kann demokratische Werte unterstützen oder untergraben. Und deshalb müssen wir besonders wachsam sein. Bei allem technischen Fortschritt bleibt für uns in Bayern immer der Mensch im Mittelpunkt. Unsere Werte stehen nicht zur Disposition. Zugleich warne ich, mit Pessimismus, Technophobie und Untergangspropheten lässt sich die Zukunft nicht gewinnen, sondern mit Lust auf Leistung, Neugier und Leidenschaft. Die Zukunft, sie beginnt jetzt. Die AMTC leistet einen wichtigen Beitrag dazu. Was 2017 hier in München begann, ist heute ein Branchentreff von Weltrang. Was für eine Erfolgsgeschichte. Ich sage Respekt. Die AMTC bringt Entscheidungsträger aus Wirtschaft, Politik und Wissenschaft zusammen. Heuer im Fokus die additive Fertigung. Gerade die digitale Produktion ist ein Mannschaftssport. Es braucht Teamplay und die AMTC kann genau das vorbildlich. Die Player zusammenbringen und ein starkes Netzwerk knüpfen für neue Technologien wie den 3D-Druck. Ich wünsche der AMTC-Community viel Erfolg bei der Industrialisierung dieser Schlüsseltechnologie. Lassen wir uns nicht treiben von anderen, sondern bestimmen wir selbst die Richtung. In diesem Sinne sage ich, Kurs halten, Gas geben für Industrie, Mittelstand und Gründer, für die bayerische Wirtschaft und für die Menschen in unserer Heimat.
And we're very grateful. And we're very grateful to Ilse Aigner. Do I have sound? We're very grateful to Ilse Aigner for being with us virtually and giving us that message. Bavaria's leadership in innovation and cutting-edge technologies is spurred by the presence of world-class research scientists and institutions like this one, like the Technical University of Munich. It is a great pleasure to welcome Professor Thomas Hofmann. He's president of the TUM and formerly was responsible for overseeing its wide-ranging activities in research and innovation. Professor Hofmann, you have the floor. Welcome.
Yeah, dear Melinda, first of all, thank you for the kind introduction. Welcome you all to this 5th AMTC 2022. And I remember well the first time when Michael, Suess and myself, we had discussions what we can do jointly to bring AM forward, to bring it to industrial scale, as it's really a technology of revolutionizing potential, and it's great to see how many people are here today. And I can just add to what Melinda said, it's all about bringing the right people together, connecting the competencies we have. And if I look into this room, we have quite a lot of competencies, but also in diversity. Competences from materials, competences from printing technologies, competences all the way up to the digital world, and finally the end users. Because AM will not be able to be industrialized without the heavy engagement of the end users. We are meeting here while the world is still in a pandemic. And we have not yet fully overcome the pandemic, but the COVID-19 storm may be minor to what we could face if we are not able to manage the other challenges we have currently, like the geopolitical disruptions with all the impact on supply chains, we see that, the global supply chains, but also the energy supply. And if climate change will remain unbroken, if all the effects that will come later on biodiversity, on resources, on food security, on health, and finally, most important, on social peace. Like COVID, these challenges are truly global. They do not know any frontiers of institutes, of countries, or continents. They are global and put our own future at risk, just in slow motion when compared to the virus. And this is even more important to recognize that just because these challenges are increasing in intensity slowly, we have to take them seriously nowadays. We are all currently observing, I would say, a fundamental shift in our coordinate system. And it's still unclear in those uncertain times what will be the future role of Germany in the world. Will it be Will it remain a top country of technology? Will we remain the top export country of technology worldwide? I think Germany finds itself currently in a dilemma of one-sided dependencies. On the one hand, we get IT and we get military security from the US, we get growth from China, and we get energy from Russia. And that brings us in a difficult situation. Currently, we are facing a dramatic energy crisis, which, if we do not solve it, will definitely lead to a deindustrialization of our strong country. And that's really a concern, in particular, for SMEs, for small and medium-sized companies, because those are the backbone of our country. And they will be left on the back burner if they do not react and act now. Germany is running at the moment in a react rather than in a to-do mode. And if you discuss the new €9 ticket or the €49 ticket probably in the future, are those the strategies that will bring Germany ahead? I'm skeptical, to be honest. I think we need something else to make Germany innovative again and to help us to bridge the gap between laboratory inventions and scaling to industrial practice. And additive manufacturing is a wonderful example for that. And it does not help also to upskill our current and future workforce. So what are the skills our people need tomorrow to be competitive in the global competition? To make us more resilient, as we heard, for the next crisis to come, for sure. I see Germany currently in an implementation crisis. Good ideas, nice strategies on paper. Many times we legally define what we do not want, rather than focusing on what we want and what the country needs. Rather than defining ideology-driven targets without the innovation openness that made Germany so strong in the past, scientifically, economically also, and finally socially. Let's be honest to ourselves, the scale and the time frame of all those challenges demand much more. And we can do more if we focus our resources and bring our resources to work jointly across academia, industry, the partners in society, and with the heavy support of an innovation, open politics. Germany has become strong in the past centuries because we have a strong manufacturing industry, different sectors. And today, additive manufacturing, we all here in the room are fully convinced, holds huge potential for a fundamental change to revolutionize how we manufacture tomorrow. From innovative materials, smart material combinations, to create the widest possible variety of functional components on the basis of digital 3D designs. AM holds potential to reduce energy and material consumption, and also will enable a new way of recycling as part of a future circular economy. And it will create highly qualified jobs, for sure. And also, and this is politically important, outside the metropolitan regions, as we have the potential to decentralize our production. However, the true challenge is bringing AM to industrial practice. So to lift it and to bring it across the different sectors in industry, and that requires, as we just heard, truly a concerted action. We all have to work together, because none of us has the golden bullet to make it. We only can do it by transcending our knowledge and our competences across the institutions. At TUM, we are tearing down the walls between faculties currently, because we are fully convinced that innovation does not need silos of competences. We have to bring our researchers, our scientists, more closer together. We need to lower the activation energy to bring the people together, and that's why we currently transform our faculty system in a larger school system, which goes way beyond narrowly defined disciplines. And cutting across those, we recently founded the Munich Institute for Integrated Materials, Energy and Process Engineering, where we want to bundle across the entire university our competences in 4D materials and additive manufacturing technologies, in biomanufacturing and process engineering, and combine that with the carbon-neutral energy systems in order to support a sustainable process design. So we capture the entire space from new materials, end-to-end manufacturing processes and digitalization, and apply this into the sectors of the end users, say in automotive, in aerospace, in construction, med tech, for example, and in biofabrication. But we also need to integrate this new knowledge in the brains of the next generation. That's why we bring additive manufacturing to our students. And way more, we expand our education mandate to the lifelong learners, because also we as university, we have the obligation, the responsibility to help our companies to bring their people to a new level of knowledge when it comes to using the potentials of AI. For this, we founded recently, last year, the TUM Institute for Lifelong Learning. And secondly, I think it's important also to bridge the gaps between academia and industry. I think personally that a linear research transfer process, as we did it in the past, so one way from academia to industry, won't be sufficient anymore in the future, as we are living in times of leapfrogging innovations. Instead, we need to build ecosystems, like we try at the moment with our industry on campus strategy, where we bring partners on campus with Siemens. We bring on campus partners like SAP, Oerlikon, and others in the future to build an ecosystem on eye level where we live up to a vivid interplay between the partners, and where we have a multi-dental integration of competences between what TUM can offer and what our partners can offer in research, in education programs, but also in entrepreneurship and innovation. This year, we just founded the TUM Oerlikon Advanced Manufacturing Institute, a $3 million investment for 5 years, where Oerlikon and TUM, we said we both put something to the table, also university, in order to fund 30 PhD students, which we can then target to the key questions that remain unsolved on the fundamental side in additive manufacturing. But we also have to boost the acceleration of knowledge creation in the lab to the market. And that's why we recently founded the TUM Venture Lab Additive Manufacturing, where we want to push the future perspectives in industrializing AI for startups. So we create an ecosystem between science, startups, and global players, in particular also the end users, to identify the right questions, to bring those technologies much faster to work. And today, we are going to sign the MOU for the Bavarian AM cluster, even a large initiative. We will see that later with a strong group of partners where we can really match the competencies along the entire value creation chain. As it's so important that we do not have single players working alone, but we have to integrate the knowledge along the entire line. And I'm really looking forward and would like to thank the partners, Matthias Suess in particular, you, because you were the mental father, I would say, of this support and of this initiative. I also would like to thank the state of Bavaria, because they enabled us to use the former GE Research building in Garching as, so to say, the home of this cluster, where we can really condense the competencies we have across the value chain under one roof. So that makes collaboration much, much more easy. And I'm also be sure that Bavaria is currently considering to match the various investments that are done by all the partners to make this cluster becoming real, that this is matched by state funds from Bavaria. I would like to thank all the partners for your efforts. I think this may be the most powerful cluster we have globally, just if I look to this really highly distinguished series of partners next to the university. And this is an open system. So this is a kernel that should grow in the future to make it really strong. I would like to thank in particular Oerlikon for organizing this AMTC for the 5th time. I think it's of crucial importance that we come together, that we exchange between startups and global industries, between academia and industry, and also between AM experts and end users. Because it's not only a task for the AM experts, we also need the end users, and only in joint effort we will be able to bring AM to an industrial scale. So again, welcome here to AM. It's a pleasure that we are able to host this AMTC 2022, and I just want to wish you fruitful discussions and a lot of inspiration for the next year to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much to SUM President Professor Thomas Hofmann. Our next speaker was the mental father not only of the cluster that was just mentioned, but indeed of the ecosystem that we are celebrating here today. As an industry leader with long experience in advanced materials and with a perspective that spans the entire value chain, the company Oerlikon was a true early adopter when it comes to additive, very quick to recognize its transformative potential and as well to boost this industry through its own research on cutting-edge technologies and also through the tireless efforts of its chairman to build a network of multipliers. It is a great pleasure to hand over to Oerlikon's chairman, Michael Suess. Please, Michael.
Hi, Melinda. Thank you. Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's still an early morning. It's not my typical biorism. But 5 years ago, we launched AMTC here in Munich with the Technical University of Munich, and I have to congratulate Thomas Hofmann that they are in ranking German-wide, in all rankings now, #1. So this is the best university we have in Germany, one of the best in Europe, and one of the top universities worldwide. And to have TUM as a partner for us, for the AM industry, and for us as Oerlikon, it's not only a pleasure, it's an honor. So 5 years ago, we discussed a lot of things, how we can enable AM as a driver for future, as a driver for a future modern industrial society, as we all want to be in. And I will reflect that later a little bit more on. And everything what we discussed 5 years ago is still very actual. And it's, as we have heard yesterday from Unternehmertum, initiatives as we are doing are not a sprint, they are a marathon. That's something you have to keep performance over a long distance, where you cannot run for 1 or 2 years and say, now on quarterly base, here we are, that's it. No, it's a marathon because we develop an industry which has seen the first printer 40 years ago on polymers, and is active now since maybe 5 or 10 years in a more professional base on metal applications and others. But this industry has not only the chance, it has all ingredients to shape the future for societies like Germany, because we have to ask ourselves how we want to secure the way of life the next 10, 20, 30 years. With that, what we have done, nice idea, will not be sufficient because all the others are moving, and they're moving fast, and they're moving forward. And standstill, as we have showed in COVID, and now even in this year, standstill means we are falling back. So on one hand, we have to go further on what we have done. That means cost out in AM. That means convincing the people about all the advantages from parts integration, from time to market, from spare parts delivery. And here we are not where we want to be, but we made great progress. And why we made the progress? Because the machine builders, the software providers, the technical gases, all of them have worked together with application engineers and application industries like we are, to go forward. And these are not nerds which have an idea and no business understanding. These are the cream and the top notch of our industries. These are companies like Siemens or GE, which are competing a lot, but they are able to cooperate as well where it's necessary. These are companies like Audi or like Linde or like EOS, which we will have on stage all together because we're shaping the future more out of industry. But the cost question, the industrialization question, the question how we can repeat parts, all that are still imminent, and they are aware. They are aware that we have to solve that, and with all the progress we made, we have applications, and we will see that. What we should never forget about is that a lot of applications which are happening in industries like in aerospace or even now in defense, you cannot so often talk about because the customers don't want to see that. Sometimes you have to qualify yourself. Oil and gas industry is a very special conservative industry. You have to qualify yourself 3 or 4 years until you have the chance to build the first new parts in a new technology, which has to be 100% reliable to avoid any accidents and incidents. But all of that we have achieved in the last 5 years to move massively forward. But besides that, and we had a very interesting discussion yesterday when we had a great startup event yesterday afternoon, and a meeting with the World Economic Forum, which has teamed up with us as well the last 3 years with our Advanced Manufacturing Initiative. And in that meeting, Carsten Heuser from Siemens made a good statement, that we are still in a niche. I have a couple of hundred people who are doing additive in Siemens in a company of 350,000. And then you take Audi. How much people, Oliver, are working in Audi on additive? And on all the other companies. And why we are in a niche? Because we try to sell a technology, and the world is not waiting for a technology because our world is not smart enough to understand technology. Our world is looking for solutions. They want to have something which gives answers for the questions the world is challenged. They want to see how additive can contribute to a better planet, how additive can contribute to a sustainable future, how additive can maybe secure our society and prevent us to be attacked from someone who still believes he lives in the 18th or 19th century. And this is something we as a community have to be aware that we need answers for that. Nobody's looking for a battery technology, but battery is everybody talking about. Why? Because it's part of an e-mobility idea, and this is something society, at least in Europe, has picked up. So we have to ask ourselves, where is additive driving the way to secure a modern industrial society? And if I do remember my first visit on additive in China in 2014-15, and then I came back in 2019. In 14-15, there was almost nothing. In 2019, there was already a lot. And they're moving forward, more pragmatic than we, not that accurate, not the same quality standards, but they're moving. And Europe has paved the way in additive the last years, but Europe has to take care, and as well the US, that we are not falling back in one technology, which is a technology but has a lot of applications in very decisive industries, security decisive industries, that we are falling back by not moving fast enough. And how we can cope that? We can cope that by cooperation. And the industry where I had the pleasure to work in, like aerospace and the jet industry, they cooperate since 60 years. Because the challenges they have are too big for one, and they have realized that. In the energy sector, we never made it. There was the same setup, only a couple of companies, but they never came to the point that they really could cooperate. And what I have seen the last 5 years, there is an attitude in the AM industry, yes, we want to cooperate, but there is still a certain hesitance to be open enough to the partners because they could become competitor, they could take an advantage. But we're not looking for the crumbs, we're looking for the big pie. And to bake the big pie, we have to work together. We have to cooperate. We are sentenced for cooperation because otherwise this industry will remain a niche. A very interesting one, we will make money on that, and maybe it will then take 10, 15, 20 years like with the internet. Or it will take 20 years like Unternehmertum, and still the next generation will realize which huge opportunity we have with this technology. How much this technology will shape the future and the future competitiveness of a society, and that's all about. And with this technology, we can even still do a kind of a bridge building, being aware that with the Russian war, the look on other nations is a little bit more difficult today. Everybody compares Russia already with China. What will China do? I can only tell you something. If China wouldn't have done the last 30 years what they would have done, what they have done, we wouldn't have seen all this huge growth in the economy. And the Western world cannot afford not to work with China. And China needs the Western world, as you see actually when they had these COVID shutdowns. An additive here as well is a technology which either could be in a strategic sector, a race against each other, or can be a technology which is linking us more. And this doesn't mean to be naive. This doesn't mean that we're not seeing that there is a system which is not our system, that there are values which are not our values. But the world is diverse, and we have to accept that the world is diverse. But on technology, the world is not diverse. There's only good technologies and bad technologies. There's only future filing technologies and old outdated technologies. And this is what we have to push forward. This is why we are here together today. And this is why we have to cooperate even more, even faster, even more focused as we have done in the past. And a company like ours, which is like Switzerland, we are not big, but we're important. But we're not big, but we have pulled the wagon the last 5 years. And we got more and more partners, and we got more and more support. And we need that, because in the end, companies like Audi or Volkswagen Group or BMW or Linda or GE or Siemens, they have to push that. Industries like aerospace, like MTU, like Lars Wagner, who is with us today, and he will as well support this industry stronger, and MTU has done a lot on AM. They have to pull the wagon a little stronger, because otherwise we cannot speed up, because we are not big enough and not strong enough for that. And that's why we will have a chance to show the next level of cooperation today, a little later on. And that's why I'm so happy to get you back here, even if we have 600 people who have signed up to show up, and maybe because of the morning, they're a little bit more online, a little less here in the room. But the ones which count, that's our partners, they are all here and very prominent. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the day and be inspired and curious for the future.
Thank you so much, Michael Suess, Executive Chairman of Oerlikon and TUM Honorary Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, we hear now from some of those world-class companies that Michael Suess just mentioned, industry leaders who are indeed at the front of the pack when it comes to the marathon of upscaling industrial adoption of AM. And we begin with a German industrial giant that has been driving AM development since the earliest days of this technology, with its additive manufacturing experience center, and Michael Suess just talked about solutions with its software and automation solutions for industry application. Siemens is helping boost both momentum and cooperation. It's a great pleasure to welcome Siemens Chief Technology and Strategy Officer, Peter Koerte. You have the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure being here, and I think I can safely say that we do appreciate the support by the Bavarian government for this great initiative. Professor Hoffmann, thank you for opening your doors today to all of us. Michael Suess, thank you for making this event happen. And of course, Oliver Hofmann, great to have you here to represent one of the most important industries we have in Germany, of course, the automotive industry, and of course, aerospace, and all the great industries we're working with every day. And thank you, Dr. Crane, for the very nice words. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the CTO of Siemens, and I always have the pleasure of looking at new technologies. And what I love most is this feeling when you see new technologies, when you see what is actually possible. There's one caveat with that, though, that the human mind is limited because it tends to think linear. As with every new technologies, it's always the same. You start in the beginning, excitement is extraordinarily high, everybody's talking about it, but then for those who have to apply it, they realize it's really hard. So they revert back to the way they've always done it. However, at the same time, the technology still continues to evolve, and at some point, everybody is surprised because it is growing exponentially. To be honest, we see this pattern over and over again for technologies, and I believe that additive manufacturing is no different. We firmly believe in a huge potential in additive manufacturing. Let me give you 2 examples why we do so, and why we think it hopefully comes out of the niche and will become more mainstream over time. One example is, in the past, we were just using one laser in the machine tools, or in the additive manufacturing tools and the 3D printers. In the meanwhile, it is 12 lasers. Why is it great? Because you can improve speed and you can improve efficiency. Another great argument is about circularity and the ability to recycle material. In the meanwhile, 70% of the material can be recycled, and so therefore, it makes it really not only economically viable, but also more sustainably. Now, you may have heard this saying, that necessity is the mother of all inventions. And we firmly believe that in the case of additive manufacturing, there's already 3 mothers that are all going to pull it into the mainstream. The first mother is called climate change. The second one is called conflict. And the third one is called COVID. So together known as the 3 Cs. So let me explore a little bit. So if you think about climate change, as you know, Earth Overshoot Day, so the day by which we have overspent the world's resources of 1 year, this year was July 28. That's 2.5 months ago, and we still have 2.5 months to go in this year. So you can imagine the way we live is unsustainable. We believe that, of course, energy efficiency, and more importantly so, resource efficiency is extraordinarily important, and we believe that additive manufacturing can make a huge difference. Let me give you an example. We love windmills, although it's a tough business to be in. And those windmills, they have the gears, and the gears are subject to wear and tear. You can imagine if you have a 120-meter-long blade, pulling all, of course, the torque on the discs, that's incredible stress. So these discs actually, they have to be replaced at some point. And in the past, they've been just thrown away. A company out of the Black Forest called Chiron has done that by looking at how can we solve this problem and digitalizing the whole process, taking a digital blueprint of those discs, and then using 3D manufacturing to repair those discs and the dents and the teeth that are actually need repair. Why is that great? It has significantly reduced cost, and it has saved energy by 60 to 85%. So additive, indeed, can really help to extend the lifetime of certain assets. And since we are, of course, want to build a few more windmills, also hopefully in Garching, that is very, very important. Now let me move to the second one, which is conflict. And I don't have to tell you that we clearly condemn what is happening in Ukraine. And we've been suffering from it. We've been truly suffering in terms of supply chain disruptions, in terms of energy and energy cost explosions. And as you may know, Siemens is also building trains. And these trains, we've been able to guarantee at least 100% availability, whether the operators can maintain and guarantee Punctuality is a different topic, but we've been able to maintain that availability of 100% of all the trains we're operating. So how do we do this? By, yet again, using 3D manufacturing. In all of our service depots where we service our trains, we have in the meanwhile established 3D printers. This is great because by the time we know that we have to have the train coming in, we can think about which parts are actually required and then start printing the part on time, post-process it on time, so that then we can really build it into the train the minute the train arrives. Why is that great? One, much less logistic costs, for sure, but also no dependency on very fragile supply chains. The third mother of necessity in terms of additive manufacturing is really COVID, and we spoke about it. So anybody who's running businesses in China, and I think we have many companies here that do, may have heard about a very interesting term I had to learn, and that is a closed loop system. So what is that? And initially I thought this is about digital twins and closed loop and whatnot. Actually, it is about workers, factory workers, camping out on the factory floor in a Chinese factory so that you can keep on humming and create parts in the factories, because the workers know by the time they would leave the factory, they may not come back and the factory would have to shut down. So we all went through this. I think everybody who's manufacturing there, we all know these stories, and unfortunately not everybody was able to guarantee supply. So we have to rethink supply chains, indeed. Now there's one company, very interesting. It is a startup, by the way, out of Bavaria. It is called Umavo. Umavo is in Aigner, and it turns out all the frames of Aigners are produced in China, at least the very large part of it. Umavo went a different route. They said, why can't we 3D print the glasses, or at least the frames today and the glasses eventually? Because think about it, all of us, we are different. Our anatomy is very different. So having a lightweight, purpose, custom-made glass or frame for you, wouldn't that be great? And so together with Umavo, we've been now a financial partner where we supply and finance their factories here in Kreiling, out of Munich. We've been a technology partner by providing digital twin technology to simulate their factories. And let me tell you that, of course, I'm using these glasses, and I would have used them if I had to read my speech, but gladly I know it by heart. But these glasses, I tell you, they're extraordinarily lightweight, and they're really, really nice to wear. So, end of commercial of that. But it's a great way of telling you, think differently. In particular, not for the industries that are already established, but for the ones that are going into the future. Companies like Arrival, that want to build, of course, delivery trucks just by the means of 3D printing, are really rethinking the way manufacturing should be in the future. Let me conclude, because I fully agree what Thomas Hoffmann, what Michael Suess said. Openness. Nobody can do this alone. And we know that. Usually it's not just one technology. It's not just the way we automate. It's not just the way we digitalize. It is the combination of these technologies coming together. It is usually that many companies work together. And that's why, for example, we at Siemens, we've been launching something that is called the Siemens Accelerator, that is meant to really facilitate the digital transformation of companies, because we know it's extraordinarily hard. That's why we are running 6 additive manufacturing co-creation centers around the world, together with partners, customers, and applications in order to make this work. That's why we have 16 research and innovation ecosystems, and one of the most important ones is together with the TU Munich here in Munich, obviously. And that is why we've been also a very happy supporter of the Bavarian additive manufacturing cluster. With that, thank you for your attention, and I have this one subtle call of action for all of you is, as you are heading later into the break, make as many connections as you can, because as we said, nobody, really nobody, is able to make this a reality. But look at these great logos. If these companies work together, hand in hand, I have absolutely no doubt we're going to make Munich, Bavaria, Germany, but also the industries that we serve much, much stronger. Thank you very much.
Peter, Koerte, thank you so much for those inspiring examples. I have exactly the same glasses and I love them. The only problem is they are so light that I forget I have them on and wind up searching for them. And thank you also for mentioning sustainability, because I think the advantages of additive for sustainability are absolutely key, and we will return to that topic, as I said, later on in our final session today. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, along the continuum from experimentation to mainstream industrial production, some markets are significantly further than others, and we will be picking up on that later on today when we look at regional comparisons, priorities, and challenges overall. The automotive sector is among those markets that are absolutely at the cutting edge. And global player Audi is one of its true AM pioneers, with innovative 3D printing centers for both plastics and materials. We are especially pleased to welcome Audi this year as an AMTC Gold partner. Congratulations. We hear now from Oliver Hofmann. He is member of the board and Chief Technology Officer at Audi AG. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so first of all, Peter, let me say I'm using exactly the same glasses. And I'm really happy to have the glasses here, because I need them every day, and also here to read my speech. So, Dr. Crane, thank you for the kind introduction, and I'd especially like to thank our host, Michael Suess, for the invitation. And I'm delighted to be here among such esteemed companies. This conference really means a lot to me. It marks the second time that we at Audi are gold members at the AMTC, and with good reason. As a manufacturer dedicated to pushing technological limits, we look at additive manufacturing with a great interest. As Michael Suess pointed out so well, the global economy is indeed changing right before us and before our eyes. I experienced it firsthand when I took over the responsibility of technical development at Audi in the summer of 2020. What a year to start a new job. When the world went into lockdown because of COVID, our supply chains eroded, and well, by eroded, I mean they literally blew up. I'm going to be totally honest here. This crisis hits us and the whole industry very hard. It was a wake-up call for us. We had to start thinking about supply chains in a completely new way. We needed to become more agile, flexible, and resilient. And the need for this new approach has only been confirmed by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Globalization is at a crossroads, and we are facing more and more geopolitical challenges and the trends towards decentralization. And one last point: if local production is more cost-effective than value change with foreign countries, this will massively impact our industry in the long term. But as an engineer, I'm an optimist by profession. And you can't live Vorsprung durch Technik if you are not in the business of solving problems. It is what we do every day. The way we see it, there are a lot of good options on the table, and one of them has brought us together here at the TUM. For us at Audi, additive manufacturing holds two valuable promises. First, the reduction of time to market in our development process. 3D printed parts not only reduce development time, they also increase development quality. We have been intensively using 3D printing for 20 years and will only expand its use in the future. With it, we can ensure projects run faster and more effectively, can avoid errors in the early stages, meaning we can usually finish projects sooner. And this would put smiles on the faces of the guys of our controlling. My colleague Erd Brandl will go into more detail later. He has brought along some great examples of what this looks like in practice. The second promise of AM is to create added value for our customers. This is not about gimmicks, but about innovation. We are still at the very beginning of tapping the possibilities here. It offers a much more agile development process, a new design and construction possibilities. For this reason, we believe it is another way to live Vorsprung durch Technik. Vorsprung durch Technik also means working with the best in business. That's why we are sure, together with minds like yours, we will be able to make significant progress for the upcoming few years. Our goal is to further intensify our cooperation, as it has been a very fertile ecosystem of ideas, and I'm always excited about everything that comes from it. The new Bavarian additive manufacturing cluster is the next big step. Together with the other members, we will support the BAMC with a fixed contribution. We believe the basic research, independent of competition and industry, is a key to technological progress, and I'm really looking forward to sign our common contract. And thank you again for opening the doors here at the tomb and to make all this happen. Michael, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oliver Hofmann, CTO at Audi.